Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is December 15th. It's Friday, which means it's Aloha Friday. And we are back again today to talk about another exciting AI topic. Today, it's going to be the tool Perplexity. So we are going to do our best to give you our honest review of Perplexity. Hopefully at this point, everybody on the team has used it a little bit. Some more than others, I know, and we're just going to give you our honest review. What do we think about it? Where does it fall into the, the space of the Googles of the world, or Bings, or however you want to put it? Is it separate? Is it the same? Can it replace it? I don't know. We're going to get into all of it. So we actually have everybody today. We were joking before that we actually have everybody before we even went live, which is amazing. So we have Beth, Jyunmi, Andy, Eran, Robert, Karl, and I'm Brian. So all 7 of us, which is fantastic. Always makes my day when I get to see everybody. So, all right. I think maybe, Andy, I'm going to kick it over to you because I feel like you were sort of maybe one of our early adopters of Perplexity, at least from our group, and you've been using it a lot. So maybe open it up. Help us understand. What is it? How are you using it? All the good stuff.
Okay. So first, I do use Perplexity in lieu of any other search engine at this point, unless I'm looking for something that's local, right? I just kind of fall back to Google on a local search. Let me talk about Perplexity. First of all, Perplexity is a term of art in machine learning. It is so they've adopted that term, and what Perplexity is a measure of how well a probability model, like a large language model, which is predicting the next word, predicts a given sample. With high perplexity being like perplexed, it's confused and tangled. It doesn't give you the right answers. And low perplexity is more accurate and a better, alignment with the prediction distribution. So what's really, I want to give a little bit of a backstory about how Perplexity came about. This is the guy who founded it is a guy named Aravind Srinivas, and he is an academic. And this is coming out of the academy, not out of commercial venture capital, if you will. Okay, it's the academy going after, and his objective in creating this, and it's pretty recent, right? He was a PhD student and therefore a serious academic in 2019. And he reached out because he was working on these large language models, transformers particularly. He reached out to the inventor of transformers at Google DeepMind and got an internship with that guy. That guy's name is Ashish Vaswani. So he has this internship, and out of that, he decided that there was room for and a need for a tool that would just be scholarly. His motivation and his intention about Perplexity is scholarly, which means to him it's accurate, it's truthful, and it has the answer at its fingertips, and it can recall all its sources. So Perplexity was designed to do something very, very narrow compared to what Google does, but it reaches out to be very, very comparable, maybe even superior to Google in the experience. And we'll all talk about that from our own perspective. But what they focused on is an answer engine with citations. It's just an answering machine with citations. And it uses large language models to make it a conversational process. But there's a search engine with an index behind it that's just trying to find the right answers. But it does it by assembling from multiple sources, retaining a citation to each of those sources, and then synthesizing the answer. That's kind of what search generative experience does now on Google. But Google's position is complicated by its business model. And something that Aravind said about Google is, he said, if Google focused solely on providing correct answers, it could dramatically improve its search product. But its business interests prevent them from doing so.
That's a really good. That's awesome. That was a really good background on that.
Yeah,
I love the
and
idea.
I never knew that perplexity was an actual term.
Yeah, that term is pretty cool.
Awesome.
All right. So where do we want to go from here? Do we want to talk about, I don't know, Andy, do you want to keep going and maybe just talk about like why? Maybe I'd love to know, I guess I would love to know Why did you decide at some point? I would imagine it could have been just curiosity. I mean, a lot of us play in the AI space and we just out of curiosity, because for the love of doing it, we'll go play with new tools. So that might be the reason. But I'm curious, did you actually have a pain point? Did you feel like you were getting a reduced output or not the type of answers that you were hoping for with a Google or Bing or whatever tool you were previously using? Like, what was the catalyst that kicked you over to Perplexity, or was it just curiosity and then that kept you there?
What pushed me over to it was the simple difference with you're having a conversational interaction with a model that wasn't up to date, right? So we're all focused on OpenAI, and it was back to 2022 or something. I've heard 2021. And so you'd have to kind of, if you wanted to do anything that had more recent information as sources, you'd have to go somewhere. And it became clear that Perplexity offered that. So I tried it, and it really did have up to the minute pretty much information, and it could cite its sources that way. That just wasn't available until Bing search came out and did the same using GPT-4, Bing chat, I should say, GPT-4 and the Bing search engine. But they kind of married those two together. Whereas Aravind and Perplexity would say what we did is we focused purely on the answer engine type experience, and they built an architecture that does that. That's very different from marrying a web search. Yes, now you can do an OpenAI as well, but and so on. So it's very good, and because they're narrowly focused on this, just provide you with the answer and not provide anything, not ads, no other, go down this path, semantically related. They're not proposing any kind of such engagement. They're focused purely on getting you the answers you need, and that ends up being very simple and satisfying. It's very intuitive.
So does anybody is anybody using the paid versus free side? I'm curious. Like, I know I only use the free side. Did anybody pay, and can anybody explain? Karl, go for it, or Beth, whoever.
No, Karl.
Karl, you're recording. Got it.
Well, it was the reason why I actually got the paid one was because the whole like OpenAI, just in case. I think there's a lot of people who tried to go buy Claude or whatever else. It's like, Perplexity has Claude and GPT-4, so let's go with that, and has their own engine. And so it was more of a backup. But then the one thing that really opened my eyes, and just like Andy now, I don't really use Google. I use Perplexity all the time, is more Black Friday. I was like, hey, I need to buy, it was those like, you put it over your running shoe so you can run in the snow. Like an exo, whatever it's called, a nano spikes. So I was looking for that.
All your exercise stuff, Karl. I'm just tired of it. All right, all your exercising and camping.
We need to.
Also, these are Canada problems. These are not Florida problems. Go ahead.
Yes, you never need exo spikes to go.
Never.
No,
Never.
how about Snuggies or blankets or something that you can lounge around?
So
Anyway,
we could
I
do
digress.
that too. I think though, like I was looking for the best deal for, and I always use it. Okay, what's the best deal for whatever it is you're looking for? So this one is exo spikes. I was looking for best deal for exo spikes, but when I put it into Perplexity, it just answered my question exactly like Andy said. It's like, here's what we found. Here's the best deals on exo spikes. I'm like, in Canada. I'm like, oh, perfect. When I do the same thing with Google, it gives you a whole bunch of ads. It gives you a lot of options all over the place. So you're still the one trying to find. This one curates everything and gives you the best deals. So I think like that's the question that people would have to ask themselves is, what would you rather have? The option with all these links and all these ads, or something focused to that? So I think that would be we could do a demo of the CoPilot, and then if for people want to test out exactly what Perplexity does in its, in a paid version, and if we can ask, and it actually asks you a couple times like some follow-ups too.
Right. It
And
suggests them.
Yeah, suggests, and then to
I'll
focus
pull
your
it up here,
search.
but just for clarity,
Sure.
Karl, for me, and for everybody listening, are you saying that you paid for Perplexity, and now you don't see ads, or they're not ads on Perplexity, period, like you would find on Google?
No, because with the CoPilot on, I don't think you see ads anyway. Both.
Yeah. No,
But
you don't.
you get to pick which model that answers you as well, like GPT-4, Claude, or Perplexity has its own model as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so for any of our folks listening on podcasts, we're just sharing Karl's screen here so we can look at Perplexity. And Karl, you just want to kind of like talk us through this as well as you're doing it?
Yeah. So, for example, Robert, what did you have that you were? Oh, a Snuggie. Okay.
Hey, I'm sorry, Karl. Just a quick question. It's
Sure.
correct me if I'm wrong. It's $20 US a month. Is that right?
$20 US a month. Again, that was initially just to, just in case something happens to ChatGPT. There's something, and then this has the browsing element too, which is fantastic. Yeah. And I find this better than Bing browsing at all.
Like when the CEO got fired unexpectedly.
Yeah,
but it's still it wouldn't solve the problem of it shutting down though, because you're still relying on OpenAI's.
Yeah. No, but if you bought Claude, it doesn't search the web. And then what else can you? And Bard can kind of, but it wasn't great then. So you're like, okay, what?
So how does it integrate Claude when, let's say you wanted to turn off OpenAI? How does it do a search? And does it have its own indexing, or does it use Google's? I had this question I had before.
That one I'm not sure. So I even just saw this Perplexity 70B model.
Yep.
Yeah. No. So there's two parts of that answer engine. One is the search engine piece of it, which has its own index. Now it's building its own index, but it also has a third-party index that it has been relying on from the outset. But it's in the progression of getting to its own indexing infrastructure. So it does do its own web collection, and therefore creates an index with references. And then there's the language model part of it, like which one is going to be the one that's doing the conversation and assembling the results for you. Mm-hmm. And you get to select which one of those you're going to be working through. And that may be because, okay, if Gemini ends up being better than GPT-4, maybe I want to have that as my front end onto the index and search engine aspects that create the answer engine that Perplexity is. That was a very perplexing sentence there, I must admit.
Well, this is interesting because
Karl's laughing inside his brain going, Gemini better than GPT? Not likely.
No, I'd be curious to look at Mistral. Like, once they add that would be interesting. So you can see here that you can focus your search to various places or all. And then you can also do attached PDFs and text and images. So I think that, like, with where multimodal is going, this is another option as well. So let's just say best deal for Snuggie.
So in this example, you could add a picture of the kind of Snuggie you want.
Yes.
And it would use that in its search.
So as you can see here, it asks you what type of Snuggie are you looking for kids or for adults? So let's go.
You have a that looks like Robert. Yeah. I want a Snuggie that fits Robert. Specifically. I'd also like him to model it if possible.
And Karl, this is an example of CoPilot, which is limited to in the free version. I think you can use it like 5 times a day, but Pro gives you full access all the time. Yeah.
So, right, this would be that you have the images to the right, and here's the actual prices inside the answer.
Well, look at that Shein. If you all have any women in your life, you know what Shein is. Offers a one-piece wearable blanket. So they actually do the off-brand version of it, which is quite brilliant. They actually, in the Shark blanket hoodie, they actually have competitors. That's interesting.
Yep. And then you can, I guess you can search
for video. The listeners, let's just read some of the results here, or describe the results, please, because
the answer was, okay, based on the search results, I guess, like, we'll describe it. You have your sources up top where it's getting the information from. So there's quite a lot. The first one is from Etsy, Nerdy Time, Snuggie store, and then 13 others that you can click through. Then the answer says, based on the search results, there are several options for purchasing an adult Snuggie in Canada. Here are some of the best deals. The Snuggie from the official Snuggie store offers a buy 2-for-1 deal, which could be a good option if you're planning to buy multiple Snuggies. And then it has the citation as a source that you can probably
Can you click out on that? I'm curious if it's pulling in, just because I'm curious if that's like an all the time deal or that happens to be a. All right, it probably is just
it just happens to be there, and that's part of the search result is you can buy one get one at this store.
Yeah,
right.
The second one says Amazon offers a Snuggie, the original wearable blanket, for $24.99. So I click that through, and it takes you to Amazon. And then
it looks like a cloak.
I didn't realize it was like a Harry Potter Elvira vibe cloak or something. It looks like you could play D&D or something with that. I don't know.
Snuggie
Maybe I will. Maybe I will, Brian.
It's teenage Moody.
I'm waiting for the Tennessee branded Snuggie for Robert.
Yeah, where's the go balls? Yeah, that's what I'm looking
so
for.
the third one has Walmart has a shark blanket hoodie, a type of Snuggie, which is interesting. Yeah. So if you
oh my god,
I love so much. This is what we decided to search on.
This show went in a weird direction, but we're here for it.
But anyway,
let's go down the road this Snuggie rabbit hole.
I want to say that you can see that a group search on Perplexity is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Number 5, Karl.
Okay, so number 5 is Shein offers a one-piece wearable blanket for $37.90, and then you see this.
That's fancy though.
It's got a pocket.
Yeah.
So I do want to comment. Hold on. So I've been looking at all of the different links that you've been clicking up in the link bar, and none of them are paid ads. None of them have a what's it called?
Like a UTM.
Or the UTM is attached.
Yeah, it has no attachments, so it's not tracking.
Yeah,
there's no tracking.
No, it's not. It's not tracking, and I think that's an awesome thing because now, like, I don't get those remarketing ads, but I wanted to copy this, and I wanted to go to Google, and I wanted to type the same thing, and so let's see what it does. So we've got sponsored all the top, sponsored. I think that's sponsored too. Okay, so the first one was on Amazon. I think that is an organic search. And then a whole bunch of, questions that people ask. So again, I think,
even inside of Amazon, that could be a sponsored reseller. But anyway, it doesn't matter.
Could be. I don't know. So I feel it depends on what you like, but I feel this is cleaner, and I get what I get the intent of I know Google's always been intent of the search. I'm like, but this gives me exactly the intent. Like, I want to buy, gives me a bunch of prices. I'm going to click through if I want to, if I not. That, to me, is a much better experience than this, where it's all ads. And if I click this one, you automatically know you get the UTM on top. And then, I don't know, whatever site down the road, I may get this as a remarket to me.
You're welcome. And now you're going to start getting ads. You're welcome.
Yeah, exactly, from Canadian Tire.
So,
of course, stereotypical Canada lumberjack Snuggie. That's what every Canadian wants to look like.
I think it's a good time to pivot into the question that was asked in our comments. Sorry if you were going to say that too, Beth.
No,
because I think that we've been doing this rabbit trail about a consumer purchase type of situation. Could you erase this, start over with a different type of search need? Because just for the people who are asking in the comments, this is not strictly for searching for it. Think of it like a version of Google that employs a language model. So
that's part of what I was going to say. It's interesting because if we go back to what Andy said, Perplexity was designed from an academic standpoint to find the right answer. And what we're playing with is what happens when you put find the right answer as a model onto I would like to buy something, or now I would like to hire someone. Right? That I find that really interesting.
So for those just listening, the query was, I want to find a video editor in Canada. That's the query, and it comes back with an answer.
Yeah, so it comes back, and then it gives you Upwork, but it gives you an like a description on it. And
click on a couple of those links, Karl, to see if they actually open to someone they're referencing.
What's interesting about Upwork is it gives you the names of people and how much they charge and where they are. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
And if I click for this question,
it doesn't show you those individuals. It just shows you the whole collection of them. Yeah.
So you'll have to find John. Yeah.
Yeah. The marketer in me absolutely prefers the Google shopping experience to this, but I can definitely see when you're looking for information and you don't want ads and things like that, then it's a much better experience in that respect.
Right.
Because like 1, 2, 3, 4, the first 4 are sponsored, obviously, and then you find that. But yeah, this one I didn't even know about Production Hub, Unicorn Factory, Freelance. I'm like, that's interesting to review as well.
Right.
So
there's a question.
Let's go back to the
question from someone asking, "Do you pay to appear in Perplexity results?" And scholars would never allow that. They're not going to bias the scholarly research that's being done on your behalf.
So far,
the whole
and to answer the other question too, they don't do SEO either.
Right.
No,
process.
Yeah, SEO is not the same.
Yeah, I was saying, the question was, is Perplexity like SEO?
No, I don't.
It's got its own model for figuring out
SEO methodologies to determine rankings.
Well, we've talked about this, right? Because we've talked about like what happens when the searches are actually dependent, when showing up in searches or showing up in references from like ChatGPT or those kinds of models. What happens when that is dependent on pleasing the user with the most correct, helpful information? It switches that. Right? So it's not search engine optimization. Search engine optimization is about getting people to see you to buy your stuff. Now, the motivation here is to be helpful.
Yes,
and the more helpful you are,
the more accurate.
Be careful because search engine optimization done properly, like the algorithms, they have also understand that there is a bounce rate, so that if you send somebody to a website that does not give them the answer they search for, and you leave that website, then that's going to hinder. So in some regards, it's almost like it's forcing. SEO does get to there, Beth, but they get there a roundabout way.
Well, I mean, it's SEO in the sense that people, if a whole bunch of people in the next year start using Perplexity and they start even chipping away a little bit at the market share of maybe a Google or Bing or whatever, then yeah, people are going to, all sorts of marketing industries and agencies are going to start figuring out the SEO best practices to be ranked better on Perplexity. Now, the answer to that might be just have good content and everything else will work itself out. Just provide quality content that actually helps people and the rest will sort itself out. But as we're seeing with SGE,
that's what Google says, but it doesn't always work like that.
I agree with you. There's hacks and workarounds for all of it. What I would say, like for Perplexity and SGE, what we are seeing more of though is less into the page and more giving you answers before you actually have to click into a blog or summaries. And that's something I wanted to bring up. I will say everything you've shown me so far, maybe I haven't used it enough. Maybe I'm just too embedded in, so used to Google. And there's probably some of that too. I haven't seen anything that's like that's going to make me jump. What I do like, and this is credit to Matt Wolf, because I just saw it on his video yesterday as I was watching it, was the Chrome extension for Perplexity. The reason I like it is because what you can do is you can go, he was using it, he was showing it on his own website on futuretools.io in the news. And he's like, oh, if you want to look up a tool or whatever. Actually, I will say that's actually my favorite Perplexity thing so far was in researching this whole week was using the damn Chrome extension, because I could go, and I love that you can say focus just on this domain. I mean, there's so many domains and websites that are just detailed and deep. And I work in the sales industry, so I'm always helping salespeople. And, there's so much prospecting and so much research that has to go into trying to provide a quality, personalized experience for the person you're reaching out to. It's just a lot of work. And so when I see a tool like that makes their life easier as a salesperson, I get excited because I go, oh, okay, that's going to actually make my life easier. If I can go to a website and then go to Perplexity's Chrome extension as a dropdown and go, I'm looking for information about such and such. Can you help me? Or I went to YouTube and the Perplexity search on just YouTube alone about the video that I wanted to see was better than YouTube's search results by far. So like if I just search it into the search bar, it was better in Perplexity.
This is Google owns YouTube.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
So
exactly. Right.
I want to say that I somewhat disagree with. I mean, at first I was like, yes, I don't see a reason to move away from my workflow. But what I'm seeing is a much more condensed, much more reliable, much less ulterior motive results, right? Because I just cannot stand sponsored. I mean, obviously that's what a lot of small businesses that we work with use, but I don't, as a user, I don't like it. So I love this. I want to go back to a comment you made, Andy, that you said Perplexity doesn't use SEO. So when they go about giving you results, those results are decided by what method if you're not using SEO.
Yeah. So Aravind, the founder, is a big fan of Google PageRank algorithm. I mean, he that's like the OG method for creating authority and relevant search results. So what they're doing inside Perplexity is they're doing their own version of PageRank, but it's designed to try to figure out which are the truly helpful sites out there. And they use the interconnections between those sites, because their assumption, as in the PageRank algorithm, is that a really good site that we know is reliable and honest and accurate, it's going to be making links to and references to others. So it's mapping the web and the sources and giving them more higher position in results to the degree that they are both relevant and they have this high rank in the world of reliable sources. Remember, always they're citing every source. It's all about get the answer, but from reliable sources, and present those sources so that the user can figure out which ones they like.
There is a question from Gwyn, kind of related to what you were mentioning, Andy. Is how do you think responses are ranked if there, let's say, there's 100 answers, but you only asked for 5, and that is the page rank? Because I would imagine we got let's say here, the top 7 CRMs. There's bound to be more, but you're seeing
how
the
does
top
it decide?
Yeah.
Also, there's another question I want to just. There was a point of confusion. The question from a LinkedIn user is: sponsored is paid advertising. How do sponsored differ from advertising if this is ad free? Well, Perplexity is ad free. When we mentioned sponsored, that was when we were looking at Google. So Google has sponsored, thumbnails up there across the top, and then a list of sponsored options before you get to the first organic result.
And let's just say that you don't have to take our word for it. Go and use your own business cases, like Ryan Thompson, who says this is an exciting show. I already solved a business issue thanks to Perplexity.
Checks on the way, Brian.
Can I jump in and do a quick screen share? Because this is Greg also had a comment which I did find interesting. But Perplexity has better access to content than ChatGPT too. Just last night, I tracked down some ChatGPT limitations that I have solved using Perplexity. Sites are screening out ChatGPT search and indexing. That's really interesting, and I didn't know that, but that would also be another. Look, there's a lot of value. Look, this is what I think too. There's a lot of value to being outside of the Google and even OpenAI world, right? I mean, I do think sometimes it's great to be over in Anthropic, or in this case, maybe Perplexity, or maybe with their experimental 70 billion, I guess, what they have going on there. Because that was, Karl, you kind of saw it really quickly, but on there it said like GPT-4, Claude 2.1, and then it said experimental. And we don't have time. We're out of time already. But that would be interesting for like this sort of next go around, is like, what is that? How does that respond?
They have a playground and an API.
Say again?
Who does?
They have a playground and API access, so you can get in the back end and like play with stuff.
Perplexity does?
So we're sort of at the end here, and there's all 7 of us. And I mean, okay, so let's just, I don't want to maybe go around the room, but like, I'll just throw mine out there. I would say I'm on the fence. I think this is very interesting. I don't know that tomorrow it's going to make me open up Perplexity. I do think I will definitely be using, as much as I remember to use it, the Chrome extension. I think that's where I'm at. It's pretty cool. So that's my thing. Andy, I think we know you're using it. Karl, you're using it, and we'll probably continue to. Anybody else that was swayed maybe this week or by this show?
Yeah, swayed, 100%.
Yeah, I've used it on and off. I'm still very situational. So, for example, I did a search. If I'm trying to buy a product, I said, compare these 3 different graphics cards. Tell me what the differences are and which user they suit to. Now, Perplexity gave me a much better answer than ChatGPT did. So, from that perspective, it's really good. I first started using it as a way to come up with background information for an AI writing tool I used. It was a good way to put accurate info in there that GPT couldn't give me. So I don't know that I'm going to throw Google out with the bathwater at this stage, but I can definitely see myself using it a bit more in the right circumstances.
I've said before in other shows, I've thrown out Google as best I can, unless I get caught in the search bar, the URL bar. Perplexity, I've been using off and on, and then when we decided to do the show, I started to use it heavier. Definitely swayed. I like to use it as a counterpoint, or to double check ChatGPT's work. So I'm in the ChatGPT environment a lot, right? So I'll be in there when I get an idea and want to look for something, and then I'll hop over to Perplexity and see what kind of answer it gives. So I'm sort of in the Wikipedia phase, if you will, where I'll use it as a launch point, and then I'll double check each other's work to see if we get different answers or go down a different path. Now, I will say, and I've only used the free version, and I mostly use the non-account, and then after I set up account, so I could use a little bit of CoPilot. Signing up for the account with CoPilot is definitely a better experience for me. But I will say I will get the occasional, not necessarily dead link, but it'll go to a website that doesn't have the information I'm looking for, but it lists a lot of different sources. And it's really convenient to see all of their sources listed in a single place as well. You can call up all the sources in a single window and then just go through it. So I know it's not perfect. So I just wanted to highlight that. It's not 100%, but it is a great jumping off point.
And it's a very clean interface, which if we're all familiar with Google now, it's full of ads and all sorts of crap everywhere. If you just want just the facts, ma'am, it's probably a good option if you're trying to do informational search.
All right, we're going to wrap this up because we're already 4 minutes over, but we'll wrap this up so it doesn't become a 40-minute show. Listen, I want to say this is really informative for me, but I want to say thank you to our commenters, because we frankly love you and we think you're awesome. So Gwen and Greg, I said love. Ryan, LinkedIn user, I'm sorry we can't always say everybody's name, but thank you everybody for putting in the comments. We love seeing those, and we try to get them up on screen as much as possible. So if you like these review shows, we've done a few of these now where we've just done a deep dive into a particular product. We did it with Respell. We've done a couple others. Perplexity was one that we felt good about. If you like these we would love your feedback on that, to do more. In fact, we have another one on the books for almost at the end of the year, 12/29, for a product called Magnific.ai. Magnific.
Yep.
It's hard to say. I want to say magnificent. Yeah, magnifique. So we do have another one on the books, but we can certainly do more, like one every other week. Let me just say real quick what's coming up in the next week, because, this is Friday. On Monday, we're going to be talking about AI's impact in business intelligence and talking about unveiling, wow, I can't talk, hidden insights. I used to work in the BI industry before what I do now, so that'll be an interesting one for me. Jyunmi, I'm excited for you on Tuesday because we talk about the revolution in gaming, and I know you've talked a lot about that industry, and so I'll be interested to learn from you. Wednesday, we got the news. Thursday and Friday, I'm excited about both of them. Thursday, rethinking college. Will AI disrupt traditional education? I could talk about that for days, so I'm going to be super excited about that one. Friday next week is celebrating show number 100. So hopefully everybody will be here. I think everybody will. And so we're going to be just sort of talking about some of our favorite shows on that one. It's just going to be kind of a nice little retrospective on our first 100 shows. Obviously, we intend to go to 1,000 and more. So this is just the start for us, but we'll look back and maybe we'll come up with what our favorite show has been up until this point. That'll be kind of fun. So that's what's coming up over the next week. And then we have all the week of Christmas as well. Keep on coming back. Appreciate all of y'all. This was fun. This is a really, really great one. Thank you, Andy, for all your knowledge and research on this. And we'll see you guys on Monday. Until then, sign us off, Jyunmi. What do you usually say?
Aloha.
Very good.